Mega Prize Fighter! The battle for 16-bit fighter supremacy was all the rage in the early 90s. Street Fighter II was the undisputed king, but games like Mortal Kombat and Fatal Fury would try to wrestle the crown off of Capcom's head. The amount of tournament fighters released on both the Sega Genesis and the SNES was staggering, with plenty of imitators to the throne. SNK was known for their stellar arcade games and having not only one fighting game franchise, but a handful. Spinning off from Fatal Fury is the game I'm covering today, The Art of Fighting, a game taking place before the events of Fatal Fury. The Art of Fighting revolves around two martial art masters, Ryo and Robert. Ryo's younger sister Yuri has been kidnapped, and it's up to both men to get her back. The tale is sprinkled throughout the game, taking place before and after your fights, in nice little cutscenes. I always find it hilarious that Ryo is riding a Harley in his martial art gi. That's B-movie goodness right there, I love that. Speaking of which, the 3-button Genesis controller strikes again with its lack of buttons. For those with 6-button pads, you definitely want to go that route. Although, I will say it's not as crippling as Street Fighter II or the MK games. You can get by with a stock controller here. Anyways, we get a punch, kick, and taunt button, while holding down the A button will unleash a heavy attack. Get in close and you'll throw your opponent. It's not the best setup, and having a 6-button pad will really help out giving you the weak and heavy strike variations. Regardless, one of the things that makes this game unique is the fact that you can taunt your opponent. Doing so saps away their spirit meter, indicated with a green bar that turns red. Having no spirit means your special moves become weaker, your fireballs will travel shorter, that kind of thing. But you can recharge your spirit by holding down any button, and it will fill up slowly. The problem with this is that you leave yourself wide open for attacks. There's some pretty cool strategy with taunting, and you and your opponent can't just spam projectiles like in other fighting games, which is something you don't normally see. There's also good flexibility in movement, as you can dash forward and backdash, as well as most characters can perform wall jumps. Very nice. No doubt you've noticed the graphics. The sprites are large with nice detail. Ryo looks like a direct clone of Ken and Ryu from Street Fighter, but that's kind of a common thing. Robert Garcia, however, looks all kinds of swanky with his greaseback power ponytail, kind of like Steven Seagal almost. The backgrounds are nice and look varied. We have the temple area with lush green trees in the back, a fog-filled back alley, a high-class restaurant, and a Guile copycat stage, complete with gunship instead of a jet fighter. Check out Chinatown's level with bustling city lights in the background too, very eye-catching. A lot of stuff going on back there. The character images after each fight are also really easy on the eyes. All in all, I dig the look of this game despite some of the direct rip-offs. Street Fighter 2 had some iconic music. Art of Fighting is no slouch either, although the tracks are nowhere near as catchy as Capcom's efforts. The actual sound effects when you land your punches and kicks sound great. The hits feel jarring and have weight to them, like in Rocky 4 or something. It actually feels good to punch people. After every 2 fights, your brawler gets to pick from one of 3 bonus games. You can break ice blocks to increase your strength, chop bottles to boost your stamina, or learn a new death blow maneuver called the Hauken technique. Basically a huge fireball that does a buttload of damage. I think the biggest problem with The Art of Fighting is how hard it is. With only 2 difficulty modes, that being normal and hard, it seems your opponent is always on the attack and gives you very little time to catch your breath no matter what you set to difficulty at. I've had time limits come up where I'm ahead on health and I still somehow lose the match. What the crap is that all about? It also doesn't help that you only get 2 measly continues to beat the game. There's just no good reason for that in a home port. That's just a cheesy way to make the game more trouble than it should, and it takes away from the fun. Street Fighter definitely didn't do that. Mortal Kombat gave you plenty of continues, so I don't know. It was a very weird decision here that really hampers a single player experience in my opinion. Regardless, like in all tournament fighters, the 2-player mode is the real star here. You can pick from all 10 combatants and can even play as the bosses, Mr. Big and Mr. Karate. And of course, they're pretty damn powerful. What doesn't make sense to me is the fact they erroneously put the stage select on the title screen and not after you select your respective fighters. So if you want to change the level to fight in, you'll have to keep hitting the reset button on your console. That kind of stinks. Gaming magazines at the time were none too kind to the game, giving it some negative press. EGM had the review tucked away at the sidebar with a disappointing score of 29 out of a possible 50. GamePro magazine trashed it, handing it a crummy 9.5 out of 20. Ouch. Sega Visions, however, praised the game for its amazing backgrounds and bonus rounds that can actually help you in the long run. Any way you slice it, The Art of Fighting was a late port to the Genesis that didn't measure up to its big brother in the arcade. But there's still lots of fun to be had here, especially in 2-player mode. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section below. I'm Will, thanks for watching.